everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And you are listening to LowBlowRadio podcast. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. We just watched AEW Dynamite. It is their go-home for All Out this weekend. And, Chris, you seemed a little disappointed.
I was thoroughly disappointed. I didn't feel like this was a go-home show to what is ostensibly their WrestleMania. I felt like they brought heat off of several of the big storylines heading into it and several of the big matches. The only thing I felt that got taken up a notch to me was the Kenny Omega Hangman Page World Tag Team title match against FTR. Everything else. And for me, again, that was already the high. I was looking forward to that already the most. That was the highest heat for me. So I didn't think that needed the rub. So, again, got to bet him on the card. I didn't mind seeing it, but I expected more out of the rest of the show. I especially didn't expect to see segments like the Battle Royal preview segment done in the way it was.
Fair enough. Well, I think let's jump into our blow by blow here and run through the card. Or we could just doesn't seem like you were too entertained by any of it. So let's just kind of jump through match to match here and see what happens. Try to keep this as entertaining as we can here on the podcast. It was nice to see the return of Excalibur. I think it's fucking a uniting force on the commentary team. Definitely to hear him back and controlling the team a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad he's back. Glad we don't need an explanation necessarily on why he wasn't there. And with any luck, we can get JR back on track. Yeah, by the end of the night, he desperately needed it.
Yes, there were obviously a few flubs and getting things back on track here. But anyway, we kicked off the night with the Best Friends taking on Santana and Ortiz, kind of the getting to the climactic end here of their sort of rivalry, I suppose. Well, maybe not the full ending of the story here.
Not until they get an apology.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They're obviously going to keep going after them until Sue gets her apology. So
or a new van.
Exactly.
First, I suppose.
Got to be some repercussions here. But yes, the Best Friends attack Santana and Ortiz before the match to try to get their best sort of offense in or advantage in as they could early on. Big dive from Trent off the stage to open things up was a nice sort of way to try to get the Best Friends some offense in there as best they could. Then Proud and Powerful kind of took things back into control, kind of laying the beat down on Trent.
Yeah, they quickly regretting the decision to maybe start the match before the bell did because it didn't work out well for them at all. Chucky setting up the chair tower, which he eventually got put through himself off of the stage by Santana. That was a nice spot. And then the bell rang.
Yes, the match itself was about 7 minutes, bell to bell, but with the brawling around it beforehand, I would say around more like 10 with about a 3-minute big spots with all this stuff outside. Yeah, Trent building Chuck building the big chair tower. Nice kind of that he was doing that, but rather ignoring that his poor partner was getting beat down by the other two men.
I did like during the part where he's building the tower and the ref said, "What are you doing?" And he looks across and he goes, "I'm going to kill him."
Yeah.
And he just goes back to building the tower of chairs. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah. No, some of the little things you could catch on the cameras now with the crowd. Nice to hear them there, but they're obviously not quite as loud as a huge full crowd, so you still catch some fun stuff on the mic there. But yes, the traditional you build it, you go through it thing happens there when Santana ends up getting his comeuppance there on Chuck and putting him through the chairs. Then the match was able to start. As Trent was the only one entering the ring. I think that was kind of weird on the ref's part as well to sort of start the match with Chuck clearly not ready, but I guess he just kind of needed to get either call it or get things going. I guess he chose to ring the bell here. And
Chuck wasn't going to start it properly. He'd already been given the opportunity to do that and proven he wasn't going to. So I don't blame the ref.
Hey, fair enough. Okay, I can give him some leeway then on that. So yeah, and this was like basically a 2-on-1 beatdown for the earliest part of this as Trent was definitely doing his best to kind of get a comeback going, but couldn't quite deal with the 2-on-1 offense from the Proud and Powerful.
I liked the body check on Trent from the apron onto the steel steps. Again, he positioned to get Proud and Powerful onto. Didn't quite manage to pull that off, but managed to get himself flat onto those. That was a nice bit.
Yeah.
Chuck pulling Santana off the ropes. That was nice. And then Ortiz crunching Trent, right, or got crunched by Trent after that. Nailed him in that like little package pile driver spot in the corner. I thought that was pretty nice right before the end.
Yes, yeah. I guess Trent took that nasty spot under the stairs too, which was
yeah.
I guess that was right before the end spot too. Yeah, because it was trying to get back into my notes. There was a fair bit going on there. Yeah, the 2-on-1 beatdown, but yeah, he was able to kind of make that comeback with the Storm Zero, get the close call. Not quite enough, but eventually getting the tag to Chuck, who's maybe not quite ready to get back in here, but does his best. Does that big dive to the outside, brings Santana back in. The Soul Food Falcon Arrow, but then that was stopped. And then that big nasty chair or stair spot from poor Trent, and that seemed like it was sort of the beginning of the end for the end of the best friends here in this matchup.
Yeah. I quite like the spot on the outside too with the baton and Santana calling out, I believe, to Ortiz that he had the pipe ready. And then lay him against the ropes, lays that into his back, hit him with the street sweeper. This was the start of JR's confusion in the night where he's asked, I don't know if he literally didn't see what happened, but what happened there? Yes, JR, he smashed in the back with a baton. Well, I don't know what screen you were watching. The one showing everyone the action showed that he bashed him, and that's why he's down now. And got him for the 3 count. So, tainted win, the best friends look strong in defeat. They didn't lose. They got beaten because Pride and Powerful had to cheat to win. So,
yes, and it was supposed to be a straight up match. They ended up having the big brawl at the beginning. Wasn't quite to their advantage in the end. And then they had sort of taken a little too much punishment by the end there. And the Proud and Powerful had obviously planted something to sort of get themselves a bit of a win if the opportunity had presented itself as it did there to lead them into the street sweeper finish. Not a bad open. They seem to always kind of open with usually a hot tag tends to be the tendency here in AEW. I figured it was going to be this or the next match that was going to end up being the opener. So not a bad spot to sort of kick things off here.
What I didn't like was the opening specifically when the best friends jumped them. And again, these are the best friends are the ones that want to get revenge on the bad guys. So why didn't they get to get their heat longer? Like they should have had that 5 minutes to beat up the Santana and Ortiz. And then something after a few minutes when they get into the ring, then the match starts. That's when they swang it around and got the comeback. It just made them seem really like, well, that was a really bad move. Why did you run down and attack them pre-bell? For 5 seconds, you got them with maybe 2 forearms to jump off the stage. And that was it. And then all of a sudden it was like you're on the defensive up to getting put through your own chair tower. And then the match started. So, they were on the back foot from the start of the bell moment. It just didn't make much sense for why they would have done it that way. I'd have much rather come out, get the heat on.
You let me know what happens when someone tears your mom's van apart, and you're of clear mind when you go in to fight that person. I think they were kind of clouded. They were upset with all this stuff.
Put me through my chair tower 5 seconds after I got on him. I come out with a weapon. There would be no getting up.
I think they did their best, and obviously they weren't. I'm going to say, I could give them the benefit of the doubt here that maybe they weren't of clear mind coming out to maybe just try to do what they could to get the best of Santana and Ortiz, and maybe they just couldn't in this opportunity. So maybe they need to switch things up. They want to challenge them to maybe a backstage brawl or a parking lot fight or some type.
I would suggest a match doesn't start before the bell rings match. That is what they need.
Perhaps. Who knows, I guess. Yeah. A matter of opinion here. I didn't mind it so much. But moving on, we had MJF in the back. We saw that he was trying to get his lawyer riled up for his matchup here. You could hear the lawyer in the locker room saying he kind of needed a few more minutes or whatever, and Wardlow was having none of this, kicking the door down, and they were pulled Mark Sterling out, and he got quite the chirping from MJF leading into his matchup.
Lee told him that he'd locked himself in the bathroom. So Wardlow went and put a stop to that. He said it's either get in the ring or get in the wood chipper. Your decision. So sounds like a bad decision to have decided to take him on as a client, right? I mean, you'd probably want to just walk away from this guy at this point.
I guess, well, yeah, you just hope he reads contracts or has learned his lesson here and is going to get MJF at least all the way to his match at All Out by getting to the ring here to eventually take on Jon Moxley when we get to that. But the next matchup was SCU with the Private Party taking on Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. Stipulation here is that the winner of this 8-man tag, those two teams will take on each other at All Out. I think the biggest we'll get to the kind of blow by blow of it here, but it seemed like the biggest kind of story in this matchup was just the demeanor of the Young Bucks.
Oh yes, they're very heely, aren't they? They didn't want to tag Jurassic Express in the match. Very specifically, wanted to keep to themselves and not like they didn't trust the juniors getting in the ring with what was a big spot on the line with a match at the pay-per-view. So I liked that. I like the storytelling aspect of it. I was going to say, as far as the blow by blow, I hope you're better at taking notes than I was, because there's such a clusterfuck of action in the ring that, I mean, you got bits down, but in between writing down parts, every time you look up, you're like, oh, Christ, they tagged. Well, I better get the tag down. By the time I've written that down, they tagged both sides, and the two other guys in the ring are hitting each other. It's so fast and frantic action, which is great, but you tend to just want to put the pen down, watch the screen, and then I just jot down thoughts of the match afterwards rather than try to blow by blow it. If you're watching it, if you watched it as well, you watched it. If you didn't see it, then it was four guys doing on each team what you would expect the four guys to do, right? So
yeah, like that's what I was saying. You expect the kind of 8-man spots here, but like I say, in the kind of more story-driven parts moving forward here in this matchup were certainly the demeanor of the Young Bucks coming out, not even doing their pose, which I think isn't even necessarily heelish either, because like when they were heels before, I mean, you can be a different type of heel all the time, but when they were heels before, it was all about being like overconfident and cocky and that kind of stuff, right? Whereas like not doing it and that kind of stuff, and even the fact that like the not tagging, they didn't like. He was just waiting for Matt. He just like it was that borderline. I don't want to tag you guys. I just want Matt because I want us to win. I know Matt will get us the win. I just can't quite do it yet. I can't give it to you guys. So it was a lot of blind tags. They weren't quite agreeing. They knew eventually they were going to have to fight each other. So I kind of liked it was just they didn't automatically go in there and were like fucking dicks to them, flipping them off and being cocky and all that kind of like, again, it was subtle. It was the little things. It wasn't full blown. So again, that's why I kind of enjoyed the whole match. And in doing that, they also really got over the other team. There were a few moments that I thought they almost could have taken it. A couple of really close calls where I was just like, well, wow, all of a sudden you thought those guys were going to end up maybe going to All Out. But you kind of knew in the end it was going to be Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks moving forward here. But I think they definitely had to earn it here against SCU and Private Party. I think that made them not look like just a team to sort of brush over, or two teams to brush over here.
For sure, they picked the right opponents. SCU again, I think they can have a good match with and against any of the teams that they got in AEW. And Frankie Kazarian, that was one of the first notes it was when his first action in the ring. Yeah, that was some fast-paced, like, furious action from Frankie. He did that great top rope moonsault or led to the great top rope moonsault from Christopher Daniels. He jumped up and both feet off the rope bounced backwards and landed a double clothesline. Then Kazarian, as he tagged in Isaiah Cassidy, he was saying, "Impress me, impress me," and I like that. I like the idea of the veteran team telling the young kids they want to see them in their image as great tag team workers. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. And then Private Party had some really good double team stuff on Jungle Boy through the picture-in-picture.
Yeah, they kind of that team sort of took advantage there and worked poor Jungle Boy for quite a bit there. And then eventually sort of taking out the Young Bucks. I like that sort of storyline too, and then just leaving the option for Luchasaurus for him to get that huge hot tag to come in. The big super kick party and all that kind of, or like lucha kick party, I guess, as you could get from Luchasaurus there. And then the dives and the flips and stuff you were getting from him too. Fantastic here. Really kind of, showing that he can do just as good a comeback as Nick Jackson as a babyface in that kind of sense, and really kind of getting their team kind of over here.
Putting him in this kind of environment in the 8-man tag spots, it limits him that much more to his ring time, which plays to his greatest strength.
Yeah.
When you are an attraction wrestler, and I don't want to take anything away, because I do think when we've seen him do some single stuff and longer work, he's not bad. He's great. Yep. He's getting there. But I love this when he comes in. He misses the double choke on Private Party right off the back. But that double, the back handspring into the double clothesline, and then the flip to the outside, that was all spectacular looking. That much more impressive in an environment where we see it all the time because he's fucking huge and it's a dinosaur. And so I love that.
It seemed to almost kind of impress the Young Bucks because they were willing to sort of work more with them at this point. They get back in there. They did that amazing stereo risky business from both sides. It just looked fantastic. I mean, oh man, I really, really enjoy some of those big high spots they were able to pull off here in AEW, and that was a real, highlight, real one. I think the timing was really, really perfect.
Jungle Boy takes a Swanton for 2 count. That was one of the first big near falls.
Yep.
The best moonsault ever in the Shooting Star Press. That was right after. That was the second time where I thought it might have been over there, and Luchasaurus just got in for the save at the last second. And again, testimony to him on the timing on that, because that's critical.
He'd taken just a little bit of friendly fire from Matt at that point too, accidental super kicks. So again, you're getting a little bit of stuff even between the Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks there, maybe just fueling the fires as well. And then
the BTE trigger was hit pretty much right after that. And they were not Healy again, but they didn't. The Jurassic Express are offering up the handshake and want to get their hands raised together. Hey, we won the match. They're not into that. It's all business, baby.
Yeah.
We're headed straight to the back to start playing.
See you on Saturday.
How to beat the crap out of you Saturday night. So that was over.
Replan, get back into the swing of things, and maybe get back to those AEW tag team titles. No, I like that. You're not really sure what way are they maybe going to go. It does seem like, again, it's more heel, but it's subtle in little ways that eventually it can just, escalate and build to that climactic finish. I like when it's not too rushed, when things aren't too forced at this point. To me, this got me hyped up for a match that seemed like it was just going to be fun anyway. You were sort of expecting the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express to move forward here regardless. And now that they have, I'm even more excited to kind of see what kind of Young Bucks we're going to see moving forward in that matchup. And,
I mean, I'm seeing this as all that, exactly what you're saying. It's nice and subtle. It's a similar thing to what we're just seeing with Kenny. I guess Kenny's been a little less subtle, and it's been the Bucks trying to pull him back from the brink, it seems. But there's still been these little things happening, and they could either be red herrings or they're not, and they're the beginnings of actual turns. Right. But the fact that it teeters on the brink and it's not one way or the other yet leaves it interesting. So, you know what? I'll give the devil its due on that. I would be more interested now in this match than I was yesterday, and I expected this to be the match that was booked on the card. Yeah. So, I mean, I do think we're going to, regardless, we'll see the Bucks win, and we'll see a whole lot of super kicks, and we'll see the dinosaur throw some super kicks, and we'll see Jack Perry sell his ass off, and that's going to be the match, right? But I thought that yesterday, too. I guess I'm just, now a little more interested to see, are we...
Yeah, or all of a sudden is that like this huge like kind of or like a little bit of momentum and run that the Jurassic Express are feeling, and when that runs into the Young Bucks and they're kind of using their tactics they already have, are they going to have to dip into something else to sort of get their win that they are so sought after here? So I'm curious to see the outcome and what ends up happening between those two. So moving forward, I'm pretty excited for All Out for those guys specifically. So we had the commentators let us know that there was a camera crew following Jake Hager as he walked into Orange Cassidy's locker room, let Orange Cassidy know that he was expected to be at ringside for Jericho's match later on tonight. I did like sitting on Orange's leg, and then Orange just kind of lackadaisically pulling it out and just throwing it on Jake's leg. You could tell he was pretty ready to slug him at this point, but not quite ready to take Orange out. They needed him fresh for coming out for the Jericho match later on.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know why they would. Like, I don't know why I got some of that, but I didn't really get it. Like,
fair enough. Made me laugh.
Bitch. His giant-sized messenger boy, bitch. Like, that's all we've seen Jake really do for Jericho is deliver messages. He's not even really been that effective at the beatdown for and so forth. So I don't know. Yeah.
Fair enough. You're definitely not as pumped for this match as I am, but hey, that's what happens when you're building a match for 14 weeks, as we learned. We got a little thing from Tully and FTR pumping up their matchup leading into All Out, saying that they're, this is good. All they've been sort of building to. with this new sort of evolution of FTR, this new fear the revelation, I guess is what they're saying at this point.
I think that was just the message to Kenny and Hangman is right now it's fear the revelation. FTR can mean anything, right? That's what we got before. So the message for these guys is the revelation is upon us, and that is we are the best tag team and we're going to win that goal.
Yeah.
And I think that is what's going to happen. I thought it was a great promo. Cash saying it's the most important match of our career, whether that was supposed to be a half backhanded slam on former matches or not, just a testimony to how they feel about this match and the importance of tag team gold.
So yeah, the gold here in AEW and the importance of winning the championships, especially here. I think they definitely got that over. And this was a nice sort of lead into the next segment we got when Kenny Omega came out for an interview with Tony Schiavone to sort of give us his sort of rebuttal to the sort of actions of Hangman Page from last week. He
said he'd regret it for the rest of his life.
He said Hangman.
The Hangman, would regret it for the rest of his life. But, and then FTR came out. That was pretty much all we got on it, right? I was expecting more there, like of the inner turmoil of.
I thought we got.
Say he endorsed it, but obviously, I guess he did. Implicitly, he endorses what the Bucks did that night, and
he said it's out of his control, right?
We felt like we're moving on.
Yeah, he said he, at this point, again, it's all up to it's Hangman's decisions, right? Like Kenny said, it's like, and that's what it's going to come down to it all out. It's going to come down to what decision does he make? Hangman or Kenny laid it out for him that, it was up to you. Again, you live with this decision for the rest of your life with what you chose to do to the Bucks here. And the repercussions of that will be what they are. You chose to be tricked by these cockroaches and who are FTR, but who are specifically naming them out in the as sort of being the manipulator in Hangman's mind at this particular time. And then that seemed to bring the FTR out and them wanting to sort of defend themselves and what they'd been doing to Hangman and that kind of stuff. And I kind of liked that back and forth where you weren't quite sure who's like it was Hangman or Kenny was certainly more of the heel in this situation where, again, it's this team that's just come in here. They're ready to win some titles and they just were trying to make friends. And that's all the stuff you're being sort of presented. And then when you sort of hear more about their side of things, again, they tried to offer beers. Pardon me?
They brought him a chalk, man.
He did, and he wanted nothing to do with these dickhead hillbillies. So no, I love a little bit more heel Kenny Omega. So I enjoyed hearing a little bit of that stuff. This prompted Hangman to come out, obviously looking even more sort of kind of disheveled, taken out of things, unsure of himself, and that sort of deal here.
Hang on, I got a fly been buzzing around my head since we started. I got a shot at killing it here. Hold on.
Oh boy, let's see. He's doing it Mr. Brody style with the papers. Did you get him?
That won't be a problem anymore.
Oh my gosh, he silvered him, everybody. He silvered him, just like Mr. Brody. Take him out with those papers. Jeez, where were we? Oh yeah, Kenny and Hangman here. Yeah, they started calling Hangman a piece of shit for saying that. Yeah. He thinks that it was the FTR's fault, but he hasn't said that at all. He wasn't sure whose side he was on, but the FTR have obviously made it clear that they think Hangman thinks that it's them who turned him against his friends and all that kind of stuff. So I thought there was a lot of kind of inner turmoil here and people sort of unsure of where things were sort of going to turn and go, at least for me. And
I loved it. I thought
more pumped up in a way that, like, obviously we knew this match was already going to happen and that, like, some of this inner turmoil was already, like, brewing and spewing and whatever, but now we got to hear it verbally before you get to see it physically. And I like getting a little bit of that leading into that matchup.
For sure. Pumping up the psychology side of it. I love this. I thought this was a great spot. That's what I meant. I thought this match, which I was already looking forward to the most of the night, already knew is going to be a kick-ass tag team match with like 4 great fucking wrestlers who I really enjoy watching, who I really like. And yeah, they took it to a next level again. By now, FTR we're not be your friend anymore, Hangman. In fact, you are a piece of shit. Yeah. We've always known you're a piece of shit. And you know who else knows it? Your buddy Kenny. He knows it. And you know he knows it. And that's what you've been thinking, right? Like, it was just fucking perfect. The storytelling in this has been absolutely flawless. It almost now, though, I felt like by the end of the night, it's highlights how little effort has been put into some of the other stuff. I feel. So I'm disappointed more because I know how good they can do it when they want to, with seemingly little effort. So that's why I was, yeah.
I think some things are given just as much time, and it's what people do with it, right? And I think everyone seems to be given a close to or a similar amount of time, and it depends on what you do with it. And I think that comes down to how some people utilize it and some people don't, and how certain things are interpreted. And I thought this was well utilized to move this feud forward and to get kind of things happening with Kenny, Hangman, and FTR. And we will see what happens at All Out.
How weak did Adam look when Dash and FTR's holding the belts? Dash and Cax, I always want to call them that. Cash and Dax are holding the belts, and he's like, "They're ours. Give them back. They're ours. Give them back." It was fucking great. He just looks like this broken little man right now. Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to have a hot comeback during the match on Saturday at some point that's going to be cut off. By the time they've lost the belt, it's going to be him filled with self-doubt, filled with regret, remorse. Yeah. Now Kenny's not his friend anymore either because they don't have those belts. Where is Hangman going to go next? It's going to be sweet. So, loved it.
Very, very, very curious where this story goes and where things end up at All Out. Moving on, we had a quick little Alex Marvez interview with Chris Jericho talking about this Orange Cassidy feud. As I had mentioned it earlier, 14 weeks going strong here for Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. As I had kind of predicted, a triple kind of matchup, a trilogy. Thank you. Sorry, wrong wording there. But yes, a trilogy sort of matchup between him and Orange that will culminate at All Out this weekend. So. A little bit of the return of the little bit of the bubbly phrase. They start bringing that back a little bit, and he throws a little threat out to Joey Janela as he starts hitting the ring. When did you hit picture-in-picture at this point? Or did it just go to commercial?
Yeah, I must have gone to commercial because I didn't see any picture-in-picture on my notes until...
Oh, it's okay. Because when I watch on Fight, because I got literally everything tonight, and they didn't even do any, commercially type stuff, so there was a lot of really fun in-ring stuff that I assumed wasn't happening for the commercial audience or whatever. It was just for the live stuff, and Janela was in there kind of hyping the crowd up. He was cutting a promo like, who's ready for the Demo God versus Joey Janela, and this is going to be my kill your heroes night and all this kind of stuff. And trying to do what he could to sort of boost up for obviously what was going to be a squash match coming up, but he ended up taking on Chris Jericho. Right. By the time we came back, he had done his sort of speech and hyped the crowd up to get them ready for Jericho's entrance, and he was coming out. And we got basically a little bit of a squash match from Chris Jericho as he was sort of taunting Orange Cassidy the whole time.
Yeah, Jericho gassed himself after about the first minute of good opening action to it, and then he just super slack. And I don't know if it was Jericho just being really lazy or if that's part of this gimmick because it's a match with Orange.
Right.
I like the bit where he stood on Joey's pigtails and was pulling his arm in the surfboard motion. I thought it was good. But then it was right after that he got Janela in the turtle seated position. And he was trying to give him the back shots, the forearms to the back. And I give my dog better forearms to the back shots than that. That was the sloppiest shit I've seen in weeks. And this isn't a house show, Jericho. You're going home to the big pay-per-view.
Right.
So it was over and over again. The code break was fine, but that Janela threw himself into that.
Yeah.
The walls was lazy. Jericho looked really, really, really lazy to me tonight.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I liked it, but a matter of opinion, right? So we could sit here and disagree, but I'm trying to think
I like that Excalibur called it the Lion Tamer. It's the first time I heard that called the Lion Tamer in 20-odd years now.
Yes, he tries to call it that because he tries to not drop the WWE names, and he's not as catered to it as much as the other guys are either, right? So it's not as much tied into his cadence. So it's nice when he drops that kind of line here. No, I kind of like that it was just sort of a beat down from Jericho. Obviously, that was going to be slow style where he was just going to be taunting Orange the whole time so they could have the time to cut to Orange and cut back to him a more kind of slow paced. I mean, yeah, I don't expect a big fast-paced thing from Jericho every time he comes out there, especially not compared to the other people on this roster and at the age that he is and that kind of stuff, and with
But
the
I just
character that
gotta
he's
say,
been
like,
lately too.
the complaint I had with Raw Underground was these when you're gonna hold a guy down and punch him, right? We know it's pro wrestling.
Right.
I know what I'm watching, but if you can't at least make it look like you're punching him in the face, then the camera shot has to come from behind so that I can try to pretend to believe you're punching him in the face. That's what we want, right? So after he busted Janela up and he's holding him down, every shot was that far. You know, if I'm aiming at my own head, he's missing him by a mile with every shot. Like they were brutal, and the camera's right on it.
Yeah.
Like,
can you blame that on Jericho or the camera though? Like he's
well,
been doing this for God knows how many years, and if he's
work properly and production properly, like I think if his work had been better, this is the third match with him and Janela, and by far the worst match between him and Janela.
Is it really?
Yeah, the third televised match that the two of them have had, and by far the other two were way better. I mean, now the other two ones, Janela got time and spots in. Yeah, he's always going to be the one that's selling.
I can't. When did the other ones take place? I don't remember.
Oh wow! Like one was got to be like early on, and the other one was he was Le Champion both. He was while he held the belt both times.
Okay. I'm unfamiliar
I'd
with
have
those.
to look
I'd have to go back.
I don't have that on me. I know that they said it during commentary as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that, and I'm unfamiliar with that. So I thought this was more of a maybe that changes matter of opinion.
Of course, it's a filler match for Jericho leading into the pay-per-view. The story here is Jericho and Cassidy.
Yeah.
I get that. But if I'm going to complain about it on Underground for what it is, I gotta complain about it here for the same reason.
Fair enough, man. Hey, I'm not here to like change your mind. This is a platform for you an outlet for you to express your opinion, and you are welcome to it. I personally don't agree. I thought Jericho did a great job trying to build his match with Orange here, having a sort of squash match with Joey. I don't know. I'm sort of thrown off because I'm not sure where to jump into the blow by blow because we didn't really do that here. But again, maybe it doesn't sort of need it. But anyway, yeah, Orange eventually coming down because Joey ended up getting busted open in the corner by Jericho. Again, we sort of brushed over it, but we definitely got to mention he threw Joey Janela out of the ring, and Joey jumped off the second rope to dive back in at Jericho to finally try and get some kind of a hope comeback spot here, and he just got nailed with a great code breaker. That spot was fucking awesome, dude. Like, you gotta fucking give it up for that spot.
It was. And I did. I said that was a great
but
spot.
You brushed over it. Like, I mean, to just complain it more and more. Yeah.
If Janela threw himself into it, that was all Joey. All Jericho did was fall on his back at the right time.
Well, but he did it at the right time. He could have done it way too late or way too early.
Randy Orton gets for delivering the RKO out of nowhere to a guy who has to perfectly dive and perfectly deliver his neck into the perfect spot.
Like I say, it's teamwork, right?
Just fall down. Fuck off, Randy. You're not that good. The guys that deliver themselves into your move, they're really good. Matt Bourne, fucking awesome. Randy Orton, meh, but tonight Jericho was meh.
Fair enough. Hey.
Joey Janela was outstanding. Joey Janela was selling like a Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, so that's what I really liked. Maybe I was more focused on that than the Jericho stuff. So I try my best to be like subjective in the match and follow both guys, but when I just see Janela in a great spot here on Dynamite, having a match with Jericho and getting to sell for him and all that kind of stuff, I find it's great. I'm not. It's gonna be maybe I'm more just. I'm a fucking fan too. Like I like it watching it as a fan. I don't need to criticize all the like nitty gritty shit of a match. Like I was a fan. I enjoyed it. So that's all I really got to say. I liked the thumbs down with the dumping the bottle out from Orange at the end there, with great visuals leading into their matchup at All Out.
You missed his new ally.
Oh, yeah, Sonny Kiss. No, like I said, we didn't really blow by blow here, so I'm not really sure where to go. And we're going to say we could spend all night here debating this matchup. But, anyway, Sonny Kiss did come out and eventually help fend off Jericho. Oh, he got a big smash in on Jericho, too, which was nice. And then, they ended up eventually scaring Jericho and Hager off.
Hager had to
looking strong.
Took the Superman punch.
Pardon me?
Hager had to make the save on Jericho before he took the Superman punch from Orange.
Yes. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I guess it was what it was. So we can move on. We had a video package getting everyone amped up for the Sammy Guevara Matt Hardy match that has now been ruled as a broken rules matchup, I suppose. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah.
So now the kind of rules are that, yeah, in this no holds barred false count anywhere needs to be a winner matchup. If Matt Hardy does not win, he will leave AEW, I guess is the big stipulation here.
Yeah. Did it need that stip as well?
No, but
I mean,
I'm not hot on this feud either way. I don't know what Matt Hardy's doing with the broken stuff. It's a little lost, and I'm not a Sammy Guevara fan, so I could take this feud or leave it at this point.
So I like the feud, and I didn't mind the stuff. I'm just kind of like, this left me a bit confused tonight. I mean, finally they found a usage for the signs and got them to fill the whole segment like they're supposed to, I guess, because they both got some signs.
Right.
But I can leave music videos behind as your way to hype me for a match. I that's fucking 1980s pile driver shit. I do not like that as hype package. I'd rather hear a guy talk about anything than see a music video hype.
Fair enough. I like video hype packages, so it's a matter of opinion.
If Hardy's gonna lose and he's gonna leave or become a manager or take some other role, I can see that, for his age and his condition. He told us himself through Twitter about his fused pelvis bones and stuff a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
So we know he's on borrowed time as far as in-ring action goes. But this would be a pretty short stay, right? And very disappointing because of the COVID era. Nothing anyone can do about that. But It would feel a little bit lackluster to a degree. So I feel like that's not going to happen, and then he's going to win. But that doesn't feel right for Sammy, the young and up-and-comer who's in this needing a rub coming out of the feud, right? I don't know. I felt like this is a bit of a confusing step at the end of it. Broken rules I was fine with.
Right.
Even though you don't really know what that means 100%. So, yeah. I don't know.
No, like I say, I could take this feud or leave it. I don't really, and I think that works on both ends. Sammy hasn't done anything to get me over, and the fact that he takes great bumps, like congratulations. And the Matt Hardy broken stuff has just sort of been a bit lost lately, a bit thrown up in the air. Even in that sort of package you kind of got a sweet couple of highlights of cool moments that he's had, but there's been no real story, no real understanding of what the brokenness is, what it is going forward, or anything. And if maybe leaving and a step back is time for him to sort of, because I mean, yes, you can say that the no audience, the COVID time is definitely a dampening to what could have been this big return or debut of Matt Hardy here in AEW, but he's also had a ton of TV time to get himself over with this new gimmick and do all this kind of stuff, and hasn't done anything with it, to be honest, other than just kind of had things be a little bit scattered. So I mean, do something with what you're given, and see what blossoms and see what comes. Right? You can see what some people are given with very little, and they're able to blow that into a ton of stuff. Like how little sometimes they give Britt and Swole, and they're able to just take the stuff to the moon, right? Sometimes. So
when he was same night or within a week of Brody Lee, right?
Yeah, it was like the same night, same week. Yeah.
So we see what Brody Lee has done with his amount of time in exactly the same time frame and where he is now versus where he was, and what Matt Hardy's done with it. Yeah, there's definitely
they've had the same amount of TV time, same amount of matchups, big moments, all that kind of stuff, and he just hasn't been able to change himself as much as Brody has, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah, which is different because usually Matt Hardy's the one that can do things and uniquely change himself. But I mean, even from 3 weeks ago where we said, that's it, I'm dropping all the other gimmicks, and he said, and that hasn't happened, but there's been no explanation on why it didn't happen or why he said it was going to and then it didn't.
Yeah.
That story hasn't played out. So I don't know, unless that's what this means. Hardy loses, so he leaves, and we get some masked and crazy new fifth version of Matt Hardy. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to stop talking about this segment because it just means we got to start talking about the next segment. So.
Another thing you were not terribly thrilled about, yes, Team Taz came out and cut a little promo letting everyone know about the Casino Battle Royal that is coming up, sort of singling out Lance Archer as well as Darby Allin. Of course, this, summons Jake and Lance to come out. Again, not great sort of promo work, but again, you're given time, do what you can with it. And they weren't able to, again, pull off anything sort of great here chemistry-wise. And again, it's because maybe I don't want to see it as a fan either. The maybe eventually the Cage versus Lance match, but like right now, it just doesn't seem to get over. But the idea of them both being in there, at least, gets over a bit of the expectations for the spots leading into the Battle Royal. Maybe, I don't know. To me, at least, I liked getting to see everybody on TV, getting Eddie Kingston to come out there and cut some promos and get his kind of crew over a little bit, or tear the other guys down leading into the.
Did he get his crew over even a little bit?
No, I guess just himself. But I mean, it was the time. Hey, it is what it is. What it is.
This is.
But what would you have done different? I guess is what I'd like to know. Because we'll get to what it was before we get to that, maybe. So it was a big.
I was super excited when we came back from the break and Taz, Brian Cage, and Ricky's coming out, and it's Taz's music and Brian Cage is in his gear, and Starks is in like civvy clothes, and Taz is in his manager clothes, and I thought we were gonna have a Brian Cage match. I'm like, yeah, fucking right. Let's see Brian Cage crush someone a week before we go into the Battle Royal. And then as they got into the ring, the three of them, and Taz gets the mic, I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna get another fucking promo. And then he starts the promo off, and it's aimless. And then Jake comes out and take his live mic away. I can't do it. He can't do it. And I love Jake Roberts. I fucking love Jake the Snake Roberts. When he's hot and he's good, he's golden. The promo in his first week with Cody was fucking gold. Last week, called him the Flintstones, was suffering succotash levels of shit. This week, tonight, was again another just Dreckfest. He didn't say shit. Didn't help his guy, didn't push Lance, didn't really say anything about the three guys in the ring that he had no cause to say anything about, other than Taz, you interrupted me last week. You must have known what I'm going to do. It's you this week. Great, guys. That's interesting. Eddie coming out, I got a little bit like, okay, here we go. Get me rolled. And then Eddie shit the bed too. Like his promo was fucking a bunch of garble as well. He didn't say anything. I think you're exactly right that they're given the time and go out there and do something. And as much as I hate the WWF scripted promos and do not think that's the way to go, someone's got to at least give guys direction. Here's your bullet points. You got to hit this, 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 and this. And if the bullet points were go out, say your name, look around like you're really confused, and tell the other guy like an off-the-cuff comment that he's not talking on the mic when it was his turn, and then tell him to shut up. Like that. Honestly, there were so many better ways. You could have done two matches in this span of time that were both a squish for Cage and then immediately come back from a break and do a squish for Lance and have a Murder Hawk squash, right? This tonight, within 5 minutes of him playing around in the Battle Royal with everybody that got to him, he didn't crush anybody, Lance Archer. Everybody got offense in on him, including fucking Bart Gunn, was beating him up in the corner for a while. Well, you've just killed all the mystique of the guy that was shoving guys through the roof in the locker room. Where's that guy? I just watched him. He was losing his mind. He couldn't have a match. Nobody would face him. He was so fearsome.
I know, but nothing has to be obvious, right? Like who?
Guy's willing to get in his face. That. Well, it ruins the story. So this whole spot just ruined 3 or 4 stories that they've been building and growing for the sake of a hot spot to try to get me excited in the match coming up this Saturday. Which the match this Saturday is going to be all of them in that ring, in a bunch of Battle Royal spots. We all know what that's like from the Royal Rumble every year and other Battle Royals. These are aimless things. If that's going to be what it is, like that's all I saw tonight was a preview of Saturday. I know when my bathroom break's going to be, and you can tell me who won the Battle Royal. And the title match will be good, right? But I didn't like this one little bit. It totally fucking turned me off. It bored the piss out of me and left me like scratching my head thinking like, why? You guys are so good at booking and so good at storytelling. You wasted this whole thing here. Again, that's just my take. I know that's not going to be everyone's opinion, but I doubt that I'm going to be alone in that opinion.
Well, we all got to hear it, so we can certainly move on maybe, or if you want to hear mine, I don't know what to do sometimes.
Please, no,
I let you ramble. I don't know. Because at this point, I'm going to say, I agree with some of the things you say for sure, that they maybe could have done some things better here, but to me, again, if you're just trying to build a battle royal with like 20 plus guys, I hate if it's just fucking obvious. Like the first battle royal, casino battle royal they did, you knew fucking Hangman was going to win because like it was who the fuck else is going to win this match that's going to go on to face the champion. They did that little spot with MJF, but like you knew fucking Hangman was going to win to go on to the next one. So, and then the next time they do it, it's got a little bit of build, but not really enough. or they just draw the cards, or it is what it is, right? Like, and it feels so lackluster. Throw it on the buy-in. Don't make it important. This is at least an attempt to make 20 guys feel like they have a chance to maybe win this match. Like Billy Gunn getting some offense in on Lance, or Darby getting some offense in on Cage, gives me the opportunity to be like, well, anyone could win this matchup, right? Like the fact that Shawn Spears is waiting on the outside for his opportunity, maybe he will wait on the outside for his opportunity to win the cage. Like let me like finish my point here, like where like they sort of, I don't know, it is what it is, I guess. Like they sort of they're doing what they can to sort of build up all these different guys in a different way for just is a battle royal, whereas instead of just picking from a card, or like those old shitty Rumble Royal promos where they just point at the camera and be like, if 31 guys, it's gonna be you and me and I'm winning. Like, fuck that garbage. Like this kind of brawl at least lets me know that they're all passionate about winning this match. They all want to be in this casino battle royal that hasn't really been a match that's been hyped up before or had the hype behind it. So that's all I can really say. Definitely not a perfect sort of thing on the show, but it certainly, you know, how else were you going to let everyone know that many guys were going to be put in this matchup?
I don't know. They did last week. I knew those guys were in it last week. They did.
Well, you knew like 5 guys, right? Like you can, like the Taz crew.
All
and
4
like,
Ricky Stark's crew plus him were in it. Sorry, Eddie Kingston's crew all said they were in it last week. All of Taz's 3 were in it, or 2 were in it last week, and Jake threw his guys in it last week. So the additions tonight were, Bart Gunn. You think Bart's going to win? Because he was in, like, no, we
Billy
know
Gunn, but yeah. I mean, no, but like, I think Shawn Spears has an opportunity to win.
Shawn Spears, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe Shawn Spears.
It is what it is. We could sit here and debate it or whatever back and forth. You liked it. I didn't. Moving on. We got a little video package for the Dark Order leading into their matchup for All Out when they take on Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and
Natural Nightmares.
Natural Nightmares. Thank you. Yes. The match will be what it is. You assume the Dark Order are probably going to go over in that setup with the way that Cody or Mr. Brody has been built lately.
It'll depend who the 4 are, right? I mean, if they want Matt and Scorpio to get the win out of this, then it'll be numbers 6 through 10, I imagine. If it's Brody, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, and whoever else, then I imagine the Dark Order will win.
Stu.
So
I think that's what they already kind of said it was.
Did they say? Okay, I was
like that's at least what the photograph I think is.
Okay,
like,
I didn't see that. They were saying dark every time I heard it referred to. It was Dark Order, Dark Order. So that's why I'm kind of wondering on this.
I guess it can be confusing. You don't know what numbers are going to come out. So
okay.
I do believe, and it could change on the night, and it could all of a sudden be just like Silver and Reynolds and 5 and whatever.
And then I could see Dark Order eating the loss.
Yeah, for sure. I think it depends on what the number setup is. Like from the poster, it looked like it was Brody. I'm not sure about Colt, but definitely like Uno, Stu, and then one other person, probably 5 or something like that. So, that's probably one of the least matchups I'm excited for All Out. I think it's going to be interesting. It's probably the very first AEW pay-per-view that won't have Cody, right?
As far as I can think of, yeah.
I mean, they've only been around for a little over a year or whatever, but yeah, I mean, this will be the first without a big Cody match, and that's interesting. So, see what happens come Saturday night. We had what you had said was your favorite match of the night, so finally get some maybe positivity out of you here.
Match of the night, baby.
Thunder Rosa took on Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb. I'm not familiar with her, but you certainly are, so I will let you take the reins here.
Well, if anyone remembers from back in the CM Punk's pre-Best in the World days, he was the leader of the Straight Edge Society alongside Luke Gallows, and Serena Deeb was the fan/female wrestler they pulled out of the crowd one day and shaved her head to indoctrinate into the group because she wanted to join so bad. And she didn't really get to do much wrestling in the WWE because you don't if you're a woman in certain eras there. But she's a free agent right now, and this matchup against Thunder Rosa, it perfect pick of an opponent, someone that you could get who's a veteran, who's a very good wrestler, who is available and was available. I mean, I can't understand, to be honest. I started to wonder a couple times why she hasn't been signed by Impact up until now. because she was so good in this match. Like Thunder Rosa got to put on her skills. Like this was a highlight of why we don't always get to see nice, long, proper built storytelling matches in the women's division in AEW. The work rate isn't at this level, right? This is Charlotte, Sasha Banks level of work rate for these kind of girls.
Well, give them the time, right? We haven't seen Sheeta go 10 minutes or like 15, right? Other than like the title matches sometimes. So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to Sheeta versus Rosa now. I think it's because Sheeta's at least as good a worker as Serena Deeb, if not better. So I think that this, like Serena's bumping around the ring and the way she was selling matches, but even the way that Thunder did her work when she was selling stuff for Serena, they both did some great spots back and forth. The nice arm drags and drop kick stuff. The chop that she hit Serena with in the corner was great. Serena came back with a beautiful fucking neck breaker on her. Like there was some I thought it was really nice. I was disappointed again that picture in picture went while there was action going on, especially considering what I just had to sit through.
Finally, at least I could pop here about something. So something you definitely would have missed when it went to picture in picture was Thunder Rosa, when it would have been a headlock or something that went out of the rest spots that she had her locked in. She was sort of like mugging to the camera and was like saying something to Sheeta, like, "Oh, you better get ready, Sheeta. I'm getting ready for you, Sheeta." And then all you can hear in the back is Austin Gunn being like, "Don't you dare talk about Sheeta!" And then when she has her tied up in the tree of woe in the corner, she's like looking at the ref, but you probably like saw the spot, but even you can hear her. She's like, "I can't hear you, ref. I can't hear you." And he's like, "Get her out of the corner. Get her out of the corner." So I think Thunder Rosa was like looking really, really fun in this. And I like that it was, again, a little bit of a longer matchup between these two. They almost went about 10 minutes. I, again, wasn't familiar with Serena Deeds. I thought she kind of, she looked good early on. She slowed down, but maybe that was the sort of telling of the match too, that she was sort of had gone through her sort of repertoire of moves, her everything, and thrown everything at Thunder Rosa, whereas at that sort of 9-minute point, Thunder Rosa was just waking up and letting everyone know that, hey, if Thunder Rosa ends up taking Sheeta to the deep waters, maybe that could be more of a challenge for Sheeta come Saturday. So I think it gets Serena over as well if they end up signing her, a nice strong new talent to go in a long match with a unfamiliar name like Thunder Rosa too. But again, if for people like you that are familiar with her, it was nice to sort of have a familiar face too. So
I was a big pop because at first I'm like, Serena Deeb, I know she was with WWE, but I barely recognize her. And then I realized it was the hair. It was throwing me off. She had my haircut last time I saw her.
Right.
So yeah, that was great. And she put her in an octopus hold, man. I haven't seen that since like an NWA video game from 1988, the octopus hold. That was awesome.
You got to watch more indies. They do that all the time.
Death Valley Driver too. That was great. I thought that was just an outstanding match on any night, but for tonight it was a breath of fresh air. So I was stoked.
No, I hope we get to see more of Thunder Rosa here in AEW, and I can't wait for their match at All Out on Saturday. We got a little video package from Jon Moxley as he was letting MJF know that it was Killer Be Kill time. All this campaigning and talk and bullshit was all sort of leading up to the climactic end in their matchup this Saturday. And hey, 2020 had been bad enough. He can't let things get any worse by letting MJF walk around with that big platinum belt. And this led into our main event.
Yes. Well, no, wait. I mean, we get the I've got Swole got attacked.
Oh, Swole. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Big Swole in the pizza attack as Britt Baker managed to get her the crucifix mandible claw. What they call it? The jawbreaker? The jaw.
Oh, it is the. I wish I wrote it down or whatever, but it's her finisher or whatever.
Yeah. I thought it was jawbreaker. I couldn't remember. It was a crucifix mandible claw. It was it's beautiful. It really looks devastating.
Yeah, it's Britt's finisher. It's the one she's been using for a while.
Mopping pizza all over her face.
Lockjaw or something like that.
So yeah, I thought that was fun. And JR, holy pepperoni. that was JR's line of the night. And then they had JR try to run down the schedule for the weekend. And it was like showing my dad something on the internet and asking him to explain it to a room full of 15-year-old kids. It was sad.
Yeah, that was certainly not a highlight package of the evening with JR not looking at his best, trying to read off that kind of stuff here. But again, I'm not going to beat the dead horse here. I complained enough about JR. I think there's nothing
got
else
the
I can say
card.
that's going to change anything.
You got the
But
card
yeah, I think.
for All Out.
Pardon me. I think going back to the Big Swole thing, though, they did
Oh.
mention, their matchup was coming up. It's going to take place. Swole had the stipulation. She chose that it's going to be in her office, I guess, was sort of what her choice was. So we're going to get this tooth and nail match that will take place at Britt Baker's dentistry office, and it will be on the pre-show, the buy-in. So that seems a little disappointing with how much the build has been, but maybe it's because it seems like it'll be a pre-tape thing if it's going to be taking place somewhere. That is maybe easier to throw into the buy-in because you know the time of it rather than it,
Sure.
Not able to sort of change it like a match time restraint-wise on the night if you're sort of something goes long or whatever, and you'd rather than pull it, at least let it have all its time to breathe. But no, it seems unfortunate with how much build it's had that it isn't on the main card. But I think it sort of, we'll see what happens with the matchup. Maybe it has its reasons for being where it is.
Yeah, well, it's a stacked card. They ran down at this point. We've got Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy 3, the Mimosa Mayhem match. The Casino Battle Royal for the world title shot. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guerrero in our Broken Rules match. If Hardy loses, he's gone from TNA. He'll be gone from these guys to AEW. Jesus Christ. You see TNA, ECW, I'll get there. Shida versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's title. FTR versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page for the AEW Tag Team Championship.
I stopped counting, shoot.
The Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. The Dark Order versus Scorpio Sky, Matt Cardona, and the Natural Nightmares. And for the AEW World title, the main event, Jon Moxley versus MJF. I think it's 11 total.
Wow.
No,
yes.
9. I can't count. It's 9 including the buy-in. So then we moved into the main event. Eric's favorite lawyer, Mark Sterling, taking on Jon Moxley. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, this definitely could have been better, but I mean, it was what it was. I kind of like the humor of Mark. It made me laugh at least, but maybe that's just because I know him from something else. Again, sometimes it's hard to get a subjective sort of look at these things. I think they maybe could have leaned more to like the non-comedy side, I guess, with this, but I thought it was a fun kind of thing. But again, maybe this comes down to what we talked about last week, placement. This didn't need to be the main event for sure. We could have gone with something else tonight, main event wise. Hard to say what, but this maybe just didn't need to be in that spot. But again, where else do you put Jon Moxley? Unless you maybe open the show with it, maybe because it ended last week. It's hard to say where you end up putting something like this. Sterling came out covered in, you could tell was padding obviously underneath his sort of get up. I think when they went to picture in picture, he was getting some brief sort of workout warm up stuff from Wardlow, like teaching him again how to do a headlock and stuff. I don't think you're gonna get much catch wrestling out of Jon Moxley though in this matchup. So when Jon Moxley came out, he was like ready to give him a sort of free punch. Taught him how to make a fist as well, and then gave him a nice like smack in the face to get him out of there. Sterling definitely didn't want anything to do with Moxley getting in and out of the ring, basically sort of forcing Moxley, I think, to come to the outside. You mentioned it before we got on air that it was sort of a shame that this was the exactly what sort of MJF described by seeing John have to resort to all the outside interference and all those kind of things. But he just kind of wanted to get his hands on Sterling, but I do kind of agree that maybe it would have looked better if he just sort of grabbed this guy and grappled with him, and you got an idea of the other side of what you could see at Moxley on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, maybe just because it was main event, it definitely didn't have me like super pumped and super like, amped up for all this kind of stuff. But I think I don't know. I think Moxley himself hasn't had a lot of momentum lately. And I thought this feud was going to be a lot better than it was. And again, they've been given the TV time and the moments to do a ton of stuff and things to do with. And obviously someone's booked this to be what it is. And Moxley obviously has more say here that he does other places. And he was willing to do this for the reasons that they did. And again, you try something and you want to do something or whatever, but they had the opportunity to do with it what they did, and this is what they chose to do. So,
yeah, I'm trying to be positive. Mark Sterling's costume was fucking awesome. And I popped for the costume. And when Wardlow threatened him, right, I thought that was funny. I chuckled a couple times. It made me laugh, the concept of it. But I guess, like, at the end of the day, yeah, that's the problem that I had with it. Is I was, by the, I don't know, 3-4 minutes before the end, I am bored of what I am watching. I am bored of listening to JR. MJF was right. Moxley could never win a lumberjack match because he has to have it outside the ring, apparently, and use the guardrails.
But it wasn't, he went after, you, like, to say that, though, it wasn't, like, yes, he had to go out there and fight him, and that is unfortunate, but it wasn't that he threw Sterling out. Sterling was, out on the Sterling outside. Well, eventually, after he was chasing him enough times, he was just ready to finally beat this guy's ass. He beat him with his own shoe. It had a lot of great fucking funny moments. Putting him through stuff. I thought Mark sold like a beast.
It was very comedy, and you're exactly right. I didn't want to see a comedy spot in the main event from Jon Moxley, the guy who went to great lengths after he left WWE and he showed up here to tell us that he didn't think it was funny that he had to take a needle in the ass from a doctor in comedy spots.
Right.
And now he's the world champion, and we're supposed to be doing serious stuff with the serious world champion, and it's comedy bits. And I'm not impressed. It's not main event world title bits then, right? It's one or the other, but that's the way I see it to John, is if you want to do comedy stuff, do comedy stuff. If you want to do the serious ass kickery shit, then be that guy. And I think that's what we're going to get on Saturday. I think we're going to get a really good match. Like, MJF is a fucking good wrestler. And I know Jon Moxley can fucking put on a good show. I know he can. I know he can be a credible world champion if he's given the tools. And this is the opponent. Again, they put on a good match. He gets a good win. I'm still impressed, and it salvages what have been the last couple of weeks of, lackluster build and lackluster booking for what felt like it could deliver so much more from these two guys. So I don't know if
I don't think this was great. Pardon me?
Maybe that's on me, and my own build-up lets myself down.
Right, yeah, that tends to happen. I will certainly let you know that. But that's expectations, right? And that's part of being a fan sometimes, too. I book these things in my head, too, and they don't tend to always play out as you want and that kind of thing. And, again, taking myself out of the just sort of, hey, it was cool to see a dude I listened to on a podcast get to be on TV in the main event with Jon Moxley. It could have obviously been done better. I didn't think it needed to be the main event for sure, and it didn't get me any more hyped up for a match that, again, I'm not. At first I was kind of excited for, but over the last few weeks on AEW as well as MJF and Jon Moxley's part, they've done not a ton to get me that invested or even with the beatdown at the end here with him sort of holding the belt, is that just sort of a tease at the fact that when you see that kind of thing in WWE, it usually means that person isn't going to win the belt. They got their beat down the night before, so that the champ gets their repercussions and their win, that they can get their heat back night of, or are they just trying to subvert expectations? You never know from AEW. It's a new company. It's something new that we're learning here. But yeah, this feud already wasn't white hot for me, so something like this wasn't going to get me to the next level. So I was just sort of going through the motions with it. So maybe that's why I wasn't as affected. I just took it for what it was. They told us from last week we were going to get him just beating up a lawyer. To everybody else who doesn't know that Mark's a wrestler, they just knew it was a lawyer, a guy who's going to run around the ring, get beat up with his shoe, all that kind of garbage, right? So definitely did better than other people put in that situation. But I think this comes down to placement, comes down to the feud itself, and comes down to just what they chose to do with the characters. And no, I think not the best thing to sort of close the show on. Just MJF holding the belt and the beatdown with Wardlow. It is what it is. How else do you get here other than just a match that Moxley has? So yeah, it wasn't great, but I wasn't offended and put off by any of my excitement for All Out, because it wasn't for this match to begin with.
That instead, this is what Wardlow is here for. Wardlow is specifically here to take the beatings that we can't let MJF take leading into a match because it's going to hurt his heat, but we've got to get heat on the babyface he's fighting, so they're going to get that off of beating up Wardlow. That's what he's here for.
Right.
So when we're not utilizing, and we've seen Wardlow in the ring, again, he's not terrible. He's definitely a better worker than Mark is, apparently, or at least appears to be from tonight's actions, right?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what your end result is, right? If your end result is that MJF wins, you don't want to make Moxley look like a fool all the time either, right? You got to have him get some sort of, because if you think
Yeah, so he
MJF's
should have
winning,
been
right?
getting regular wins over Wardlaw every week. He should have been beaten up, and in tag matches,
But
Wardlaw
how do you
takes the
set
pin.
them up, right? Like if you set them up that like you have to sign the contract that like the stipulation is you drop the paradigm shift and you have to fight Wardlow the week of our matchup at All Out. What advantage does that give Moxley if he loses going into All Out? It's like, oh, okay, well he had to jump through all those fucking hoops for MJF and he looks like an idiot for doing so.
So I right away I wouldn't have the whole you can't use the paradigm shift thing. That I don't like that.
Right.
Because I don't see what the point is of having that injected into it. Like I get when you were talking about it last week, we want to see Moxley do other stuff. Well, he didn't beat Brian Cage with the paradigm shift, right? That had nothing to do with that match. So
Yeah.
we've already
Well,
seen.
that's what I mean. And then
so it was a fruitless story. So instead the contract signing involved a sneaky page that MJF slid in that is you got to fight Wardlaw on the last Dynamite before in that week. And that's the only sneaky clause that got snuck in. So Moxley is the only one that got the wool pulled over his eyes because he doesn't read contracts. But then he still gets his laugh at the end of that episode by saying, "You think I give a shit? I'll beat up your monster anyway." Right? So MJF thinks he scored one on him, but Moxley isn't scared. So you've built both characters. It's way better. My way is way better. There's no question. So
fair enough. A better opinion. I don't agree, but yeah.
No, for sure. My way is way better. That's not subjective. That is thoroughly objective.
I think it depends on where you're going. It's all about end result, right? I need to know what the beginning, middle, and end of this story is. When we get there on Sunday or Saturday, we'll find out, right? It depends on who wins and what the end result is. If the idea that MJF is banning the paradigm shift, that all of a sudden he tries some heel tactic, Wardlow, gets in the referee's way, he tries to hit him with the ring, and fucking the ref's not looking, Moxley hits him with the paradigm shift, is able to then catch him with something else later on to keep his belt, get the win, but MJF saves face by being like, no, you used your goddamn paradigm shift on me, but the ref didn't see it, and he at least gets to keep his like glory in the fact that he keeps his win, that he didn't lose to the paradigm shift or all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the end result is, so it's hard for me to judge something until we get there, because in AEW, they've proven they want to tell a full story, and there's obviously something that's coming on Sunday or Saturday that isn't just the typical, whatever, right? So I can't say for certain that MJF's winning because I don't really know where you go next, and I can't say for certain that John Moxley's winning because I don't know where you go next either. So
no, but I think you've nailed essentially the finish. I mean, the only reason it would make sense for the paradigm shift to be banned officially is for Moxley to use it behind the ref's back, win by another means, and that will be MJF. I think you've nailed it.
Okay, well then if we booked it your perfect way, how does that save MJF in any way if he loses?
He wins the belt on Saturday in my way.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I mean, I honestly,
that's what I mean.
Again,
it's the end result. Sure, in your
like,
booking, if that's the story we're telling, then yeah, I could certainly agree that that's the perfect way. But you can't just say, well, then right now this is the perfect way for sure, without knowing what story they're trying to tell us, right? So I'd at least give them the benefit of the doubt.
It's still with regard. My argument to that would be I'm still left bored by this segment tonight, regardless of what happens.
No, that's fair. I'm not. Yeah, I said that's not the. That wasn't
because
what
I'm a fan and I want to see the pay-per-view. But they did not sell me as a fan. They didn't sell me the pay-per-view tonight.
No, we agreed on that for sure.
Hard, right? That's it. That's really the bottom line. Like I worry. I don't care if other people watch it or not. To be honest, it doesn't matter to me if they sell it to others. I feel like the opportunity. I felt like maybe that was why last week's show was that little bit under par from what it normally is, was to make this week's feel that much more grandiose headed into the pay-per-view, and then left disappointed by the end of the show that was not what it felt like. It did not feel like go home.
But who told you that? You told yourself that. You're just like Hangman Page.
It is the go home show. It's the go home show.
I know, but like if I think back to last year, like the go home show for All Out, I don't remember some big thing between Spears and Cody. I don't remember some big thing between Hangman and Jericho that like stands out of my mind as being like, don't you remember the go home to All Out last year? So like, I mean, I guess they didn't have one, right? They weren't even on TV, so it's a whole different like setup and aspect. They were just going pay-per-view to pay-per-view. So Again, I definitely don't agree that I agree that it wasn't the best go-home show. It wasn't the big grandiose thing, but I also think you need to sort of taper your expectations sometimes with what you expect the show to be and just let the show be what it is sometimes. But hey, sometimes that's wrestling.
I guess even up to that aspect though, it's not. Tonight was nothing special. There was one really, really good match and a whole lot of filler. I
disagree. I definitely disagree. I loved the first hour. I liked the Jericho match and the Thunder Rosa
matches.
I would give this a solid 3
5
stars.
matches, and one of them was Jon Moxley against the Lawyer. So 4 matches in a 2-hour wrestling show.
That's better than like the 2 matches you get on like 4 hours on Raw or whatever. Like it's apples and oranges.
All I'm saying, man, is if that's going to be the complaint about Raw, if we don't like that when they do it on Raw, we can't like it when they do it on AEW, right? It's got to be apples to apples.
It's a matter of opinion. I liked the show and you didn't, man. So I think that's where the debate is. You're not going to change my mind and I'm not going to change yours. So hey, tell everyone where you'll hear us on the next time here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
On a Wednesday night, you can hear us live if you're in Ontario, Canada, 88.7 FM, The River. If you're not lucky enough to be in Ontario, Canada, you can catch it online, 887theriver.ca, 7 p.m. live, or under the archives page for everything else. This podcast you can hear on Sounder, and it broadcasts out from there to lots of other podcasting.
If you're here on YouTube, make sure you get in the comments, like, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. We appreciate you all here. We finally got to 100 views on our promotional video there. So thank you all for the views there. And we can't wait to bring you another one. And we'll be back for another one of these blow by blows this weekend when we talk about All Out here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Thanks for watching, everybody.